Good morning and welcome to worship with the Unitarian Universalist Church of Ventura. Our worship theme for the month of December is still stillness, fitting in a month that brings us the solstice and the turning back to the light, a point at which we can remain still and reflect deeply, both on all that has been and all that is about to be. There are a whole host of people who collaborate to bring this service into being. Here is a lineup of our entire tech team. Today, our director is Brian Fortune. Our assistant director is Kitty Merrill. Our magician is Mary Nelson. And our tech support human is Joe Osborne. And the on-screen people will introduce themselves as we go along. So there are continuing technological glitches with Zoom. Some of it is our own missteps, and sometimes it's just Zoom messing with us. And if you do have a problem, please do contact Joe Osborne and through the chat or by phone. Just a couple of announcements to highlight. Please do come to the program fair today, which is at 12:30. Veronica Baer is going to talk about all the groups that we have in the church that allow the creative sorts in this congregation to express their creativity. And as it happens, that right there is a watercolor chalice by Veronica Baer. Also, our Christmas Eve service will be at 5:30 this week on Zoom, and it will be for the Carol Starved and more. Please do have a candle and matches that are ready to light, and this will work best if everyone on each screen all have their own candle and match. Just be ready, because we're going to sing by candlelight. So take some moments now to arrive here in this space on this virtual program, seeking the still point of the year, the still point in your life and turning our hearts toward one another, let us enter sacred space.
Good morning. I'm Worship Associate Sue Brinkmeyer. I hope everyone at home has a chalice to light or a candle to light and something to light it with. The words for our chalice lighting this morning are from Sharon Wiley. In honor of ancient traditions that celebrate the winter solstice, this time of longest night, we observe that the flaming chalice holds the elements of the four directions: earth, air, fire, and water. The lamp oil for earth, the air that feeds the flame, the fire we light, and the chalice itself, the cup, the symbol of water. Let us light our chalices together. We light our chalice and reflect on the light we need to guide us through hard times. The light of our shared faith, the light of loving community, the light of love, joy, and hope. Our call to worship is from Jeff May. Come, gather, not into a common space, sharing a physical closeness we long for, which is precluded by wide choice, but come, gather into this common time, this common space. We need to be together. We yearn for connection. We hunger for the familiar faces of friends, the sound of shared voices proclaiming who we are, where we are going, and that which resonates with our hopes, our dreams, our values. Come, gather. We are here in this space made of all spaces, and we share our becoming in this moment on the brink of solstice. Come, let us worship together.
Good morning. I'm Music Director Carolyn Bierke, and I'd like to invite you to join in singing our opening hymn, Dark of Winter. Dark of winter, soft and still, your quiet calm surrounds me. Let my thoughts go where they will, ease my mind profoundly, and then my soul
Before we get underway, I want to make an announcement that I forgot earlier. We need, if you have a candle today, also, this may end up being the same candles that you use for on Christmas Eve, but for a really fun activity that Fidelity is about to lead us in, everyone needs a candle and a match, or matches will probably work. And enjoy the delight and the power of light and flame. Just a few hours from now, the winter solstice will arrive for us here in the Northern Hemisphere. It is the moment in Earth's orbit around the sun when we are tilted as far away from the light as we get. The night is longest, the day is shortest. There is an exact moment when we stop leaning farther away and our orbit begins to lean back into the light. The solstice will arrive at 2:02 a.m. so very early tomorrow morning that most of us will likely be warm in bed. The image of the globe here actually captures the very moment of the shift of the leaning back in. Although you do have to look closely, there is the mostly left-hand side, okay, right and left, reversal of images. So you will note that the United States upper part of this globe is in shadow. There's a line that comes down right about the edge of South America between the light and the shadow. And that is the turning point, the still point for us of the solstice. This is an actual physical shift, a literal turning point upon which we have also layered much meaning and metaphor. For solstice means sun stands still. Now, ancient peoples were far more adept sky watchers than most of us are today. And they noted this day, this turning well and intentionally, intently. As the earth cycled through the seasons, summer into fall into winter, they watched the sun's arc traveling across the sky grow lower and lower and lower as days grew shorter. And then comes a day when the sun stops dropping toward the horizon, and it actually seems to stand still for about a day before then starting to rise higher and then higher and higher in the sky on the next day and the next. Even in the coldest and darkest time of the year, we can join the spirit of those ancestors and hold on to the promise that the light and warmth will return, that things will grow again in the world and in our hearts. And so today we join with peoples of all times and places as we celebrate the return of the light. Has there been a year, a time when we needed the light more? Let us find the still point in the sky and in ourselves. Let us too remain still, looking neither backward nor forward, resting in the still point for this hour together, for this day and night, carrying all we learn from stillness back into our lives as we celebrate the winter solstice.
Good morning. Hi, everyone. My name's Fidelity. I'm the Religious Education Coordinator for our congregation. And today, for our Time for the Child in Each of Us for winter solstice, we're going to conduct a science experiment with candle flames, and we're going to see what we can learn about people in there too. So now is the time. If you have a self-standing candle, something that looks like this, and you're going to need at least 2 matches, or a lit flame and 1 match. So just a word of caution, make sure you've got some space around you to do this, nothing flammable, napkins or pieces of paper, etc. You'll want a good workspace just to make sure that nothing will catch on fire besides the candle. So the first thing to do is go ahead and light your candle and let it burn for about 30 seconds. So you want to have some time for the wick to burn. So I'm going to show you how this next part works, and then we'll go ahead and do it all together. So the first thing to do is go ahead and light another match. And I have a chalice here that I'm going to light the match from, and then blow out the candle. So light the match, blow out the candle, and you'll see all the smoke start to rise. So after your candle is completely out and the smoke is rising up, you're going to go ahead and hold your lit match right above in the smoke. Okay, but don't touch it. Don't go ahead and touch the wick. Just watch, and what you'll see is the flame will leap from your match back onto the candle. So that's the goal. That's what's going to happen. So I'm going to go ahead and do it once, and then we'll do it together. So first, light your match, blow out the candle. And you should see it leap right back. Oh, there we go. Might be a little too out this time. So if you want to try it, you want to wait for there to be a lot of smoke rising up so you can go ahead and hold it right above. So I'm going to go ahead and do it one more time. Light your match, blow out your candle. Do it that way. This one's having trouble. Might be out of smoke. So that is the goal. When it works, the flame leaps back from the match right onto the candle wick, and it relights the candle even without touching it directly. So when we blow out the candle, the idea is that there's enough wax in the smoke that when we place the flame right back into the smoke, the flame can travel right back to the wick and relight the candle. So we can think for a minute about what this may symbolize. We know winter solstice is the time of the year when the night is longest and the day is shortest. But after solstice, more and more light returns each day. The returning of the light rekindles our sense of hope. So our jumping flame teaches us that we can rekindle hope just as the match can rekindle the candle flame. So I love this symbol just because it doesn't have to be exactly on it. It can just be near. And even when it seems like we're completely burnt out, and even as we're not physically together, unable to touch, just the nearness and the closeness is enough to light the candle of hope.
Thank you so much, Fidelity. That was fun. Sue and I now invite you on a journey with 3 litanies that are placed throughout the service this morning. The litanies will guide us from the sweetness, rest, and stillness of darkness, leaning then back toward the light and finally blending them both, that we all may find renewed hope and a sense of purpose. With each litany, Sue and I will alternate speaking, and we invite you to speak the same response each time. Your response is, we move through the darkness and into the light. It will appear on a slide when it is time for you to speak, though let's all remain muted because it will be a cacophony if we try to, it won't be in unison, let's just put it that way, if we try to do it together. The first litany is a litany of darkness.
Welcome, darkness. As we await the turning of the year, let us not rush too quickly back to the light. Let us rather savor the sweetness of the gentle dark. Oh, sweet darkness, bring forth your quiet calm, gently soothe weary eyes, help us find room for sorrow and comfort. May we, in your stillness, hear your song. May our souls hear clearly our own still small voice of love eternal. Lean into the darkness, sit in the shadow. Let the darkness enfold us. As the sun stands still, so may we also stand still. We move through the darkness and into the light.
Welcome, darkness. Let us find in your gentle embrace relief from blinding sun, scorching heat, exhausting labor. Let us take this time in this turning of the year to discover your gifts. The night which lures us to deep rest, remembering that in every life, on every journey, there must be a time to lie fallow. Darkness, you invite us to be with loved ones, to conceive new life, to search our hearts, to remember our dreams. May we hibernate, lying fallow, giving seeds time to rest in the dark, fertile earth. We move through the darkness and into the light.
Welcome, darkness. There is wisdom and power in the dark, a power that sometimes frightens. Still, we enter the darkness to mine the riches there, to plant our seeds. For the dark brings a promise of growth, of transformation found in stillness. So we fear you not. We know the power of darkness to reveal deeper truths, the capacity of darkness to show us the stars. May we go deep within ourselves in the dark. Look at our lives, our paths, at our hopes and fears in the dark. May we glory in darkness, welcoming our dreams, making us whole. We move through the darkness and into the light.
Each Sunday, this congregation gives away our collection to an organization in the larger community or to funds that help people in our own church. We now invite you to donate online. You'll see the link on the next slide, which will also be posted in the chat. Our offering today goes to Food and Water Watch, a national organization with offices in Ventura. Food and Water Watch works with local communities and environmental and social justice groups to ban fracking and to stop corporations from exploiting our water and agriculture. Last year, Food and Water Watch Ventura and community partners achieved an important victory when the county supervisors approved a 6-month moratorium on oil and gas drilling near groundwater sources. Scientists had detected petroleum gases in the Fox Canyon Aquifer, a key water source for both drinking and irrigation in Oxnard. The decision blocked over 200 proposed wells. The people living nearest those proposed wells already face the highest rates of pollution in all of California. More than 95% of the residents are Latino. They rank in the highest percentiles for pesticide exposure, asthma rates, and cardiovascular disease. The initial moratorium was extended for a full year, this time by unanimous vote. Yet the work to keep the moratorium in place continues. The oil industry is fighting all particularly a requirement for environmental reviews of antiquated drilling permits. Food and Water Watch will be part of the efforts to keep them accountable. Thank you for giving generously, as you always do.
A fire is burning, the long night draws near. All who need comfort are welcome by here. We'll dance 'neath the stars and toast the past year, for the spirit of Solstice is still living here. We'll count all our blessings while the mother lays down, with snow as her blanket covering the ground. Thanks to the mother for the life that she brings. She'll waken to warm us again in the spring. The poor and the hungry, the sick and the lost, these are our children, no matter the cost. Come by the fire, the harvest to share, for the spirit of Solstice is still living here. A fire is burning, the night draws near. All who need comfort, I welcome, Lord, dance 'neath the stars and toast the past year, for the spirit of Solstice is still living here. The spirit of Solstice is still living here.
The generosity of this congregation weaves a tapestry of love we call community, holding us together through darkness and light, weaving the threads of love and justice throughout all the places where we live.
Each week, we take time in our service to lift up the joys and sorrows that have been shared with the community. You can submit a joy or sorrow to be shared in one of two ways. Every Thursday, the email bulletin, UUCV This Week, includes a link for sharing joys or sorrows, or you can use the Joys and Sorrows link on our website at uuventura.org. Messages that are sent in by 10 p.m. on Saturday will be read in the service the following morning. Those received after that will be shared the following Sunday. When we are together in our physical sanctuary, we drop stones in water for each joy or sorrow. The ripples that go out represent the ways in which a joy or sorrow that touches the heart of one of us travels throughout our community to touch us all. Today, the ripples we see are virtual, but we know the connections they represent are very real. These are the joys and sorrows that were shared with us this week. Kitty Merrill shares this. Feeling sad. My cat Mab has been diagnosed with melanoma, and her future is uncertain. At the same time, she isn't worried and continues to celebrate the Christmas season as usual by eating all the pine needles off the tree that she can. Kathy Powell shares this sorrow. My Aunt Marge died Sunday of COVID. She was 97. She had a mind like a steel trap and was always lovely to me. She lived in the Dakotas, and I am so glad she was able to live to see this election. I'm sure it brought her much relief. I will miss her. Tessa Weeks shares this concern. Sheila Wilgus fell at home yesterday. She is at Ventura County Medical Center. Fortunately, nothing was broken, but she could still use your healing thoughts. Kathy Powell shares a mixed joy and sorrow. I got lovely glass hummingbird feeders so I could enjoy them flying in and eating in front of my windows. I didn't know that they are territorial gladiators in the bird world. The red-throated male chases them all away at 50 miles an hour, making me sad instead of joyful. A silly sigh here. I invite you now to speak aloud or in your heart the names of those you wish to celebrate or memorialize, or those who may need the loving embrace of this community. By invoking their names, even when we may not hear them, you bring them into this holy circle of caring we create here together. We hold these names, spoken and unspoken, in the silent sanctuary of our hearts. May we be truly grateful for all that is our life.
Our reading this morning is Solstice Poem by Rebecca Parker. Perhaps for a moment, the keyboards will stop clicking, the wheels stop rolling, the computers desist from computing, and a hush will fall over the city. For an instant in the stillness, the chiming of celestial spheres will be heard as Earth hangs poised in the crystalline darkness, and then gracefully tilts. Let there be a season when holiness is heard and the splendor of living is revealed, stunned to silence by beauty, we remember who we are and why we are here. Let this be the time we wake to life like spring wakes in the moment of winter solstice.
Please join me in singing the hymn, Find a Stillness. Find a stillness, hold a stillness, let the stillness carry me. Find the silence, hold the silence, let the silence carry me. In the Spirit, by the Spirit, with the Spirit giving power, I will find true harmony. Seek the essence, hold the essence, let the essence carry me. Let me flower, help me flower, watch me flower, carry me. In the Spirit, by the Spirit, with the Spirit giving power, I will find true harmony.
I invite you now into a time to find, to seek the stillness. Seek the still point somewhere in your body. Use your breath to find it if you need to, breathing deeply and slowly. Settling in, slowing down, becoming just a little more still with each breath. Seeking your own still point and the wisdom unrest that lie there. A silent meditation. I invite you now to join responsively in a litany of the light your part is the same. The spirit of darkness offers many gifts, yet most often we bring along a light to help us see them in that darkness. The flames of candles, the light of a bonfire or a hearth fire. Even the smallest light shining into the dark can remind us each of our own light within. And when that light flickers or grows dim, may we always remember to seek the light carried by another. And let us welcome the light upon its return. The days lengthen ever so slightly after the solstice stillpoint. The growing light seems almost timid at first. We can coax and encourage the light into the world and into our hearts. Let us watch with growing hope as the sun's arc climbs higher and then higher in the sky. We move through the darkness and into the light.
Welcome, light. The darkness is not meant to last forever. We need not rest in the dark forever, nor only find wisdom in the dark. At this very darkest time of year, we long for the light again, the light that brightens and warms the earth once more, which in turn coaxes us all, flower and field, animal and human, all life leans into the warmth and flowers into the light. We move through the darkness and into the light.
Welcome, light. A single ray of light carries endless meaning. The light at the end of the tunnel, signaling hope or escape from imprisonment, literal or figurative. The light through a window, awakening us at the break of day. The light from an open door, beckoning us toward new possibilities, new journeys ahead, awakening to new understanding, calling forth new flowering in the fields, a new flowering of delight and beauty. We move through the darkness and into the light.
Though my soul may set in darkness, it will rise in perfect light. I have loved the stars too fondly to be fearful of the night. Though my soul may set in
Our final litany is a litany of hope and purpose. Your response is the same. Welcome, hope. No journey is taken on an ever-lighted path without any dark times. We cycle with the sun, day into night, and back to day. We cycle with the seasons. Spring becomes summer, becomes fall, becomes winter, becomes spring once more. And so the journey of our lives moves into the darkness and back to the light. This is an ancient rhythm we can feel in our bones when we can but tune back in, muting the noise and distraction that is so much with us. We rest this morn on the very brink of this shift back to the light. Let us tarry here a bit longer, hopeful, knowing the light indeed returns. We move through the darkness and into the light.
Welcome, new purpose and meaning. We are on a physical journey from light to darkness to light as Earth orbits Sun, and also a personal journey through metaphorical times of dark and light, light and dark. We can use both to help us see more clearly what we need and how we are called. Trusting our own wisdom, trusting one another, telling the true stories that need to be told, listening deeply, moving from waiting to flowering to waiting, from stillness to action to stillness once more. We move through the darkness and into the light.
Welcome, Solstice. Though my soul may set in darkness, it will rise in perfect light. I have loved the stars too fondly to be fearful of the night. Let us not forget, as we journey back into the light, the great gifts of the darkness. May we find a wholeness of body and spirit in the ever-balanced forces of light and dark. May we carry the lessons and blessings of both into the new season, the new year. We move through the darkness and into the light.
Please join me in prayer. Holy beingness, known by many names, mystery embracing light and darkness and all between, Spirit of life which dwells within and among and beyond us this day and always. We come to the close of a year like no other. A year of losses, a year of changes, a fearful year. A year of unexpected insight, even unanticipated delight in the midst of what otherwise has felt like so much chaos. May we indeed seek wholeness in the balance of dark and light. May we continue to have hope these times have been such a struggle for so many in so many ways. May we learn the lessons of this time. May we move forward to a more just world. May we learn again to trust one another, to have one another's backs, to know that community, and it is in community and with one another that we most surely are saved. May we lean into, and live into the returning light, knowing all that may yet again flower, the goodness in our hearts and in the world. And may all those who are ill find healing. Those who are in despair find hope. Those who are without shelter find home. And those suffering through conflict and war and pandemic throughout the world, may we know peace. Amen. And blessed be.
Please join me in our closing hymn, When Our Heart is in a Holy Place. When our heart is in a holy place, when our heart is in a holy place, we are blessed with love and amazing grace. When our heart is in a holy place, when we trust the wisdom in each of us, every color, every creed and kind, and we see our faces in each other's eyes, then our heart is in a holy place. When our heart is in a holy place, when our heart is in a holy place, we are blessed with love and amazing grace. When our heart is in a holy place, when we tell our story from deep inside, and we listen with a loving mind, and we hear our voices in each other's words, then our heart is in a holy place. When our heart is in a holy place, when our heart is in a holy place, we are blessed with love and amazing grace. When our heart is in a holy place, when we share the silence of sacred space, and the God of our heart stirs within, and we feel the power in each other's faith, then our heart is in a holy place. When our heart is in a holy place, when our heart is in a holy place, we are blessed with love and amazing grace. When our heart is in a holy place, when our heart is in a holy place.
Please join Reverend Dana in extinguishing your chalice at home. We extinguish the chalice, but not the light in our hearts, the warmth of community, or the assurance and goodness we have found here together. Those we carry into our lives until we gather again.
In a moment, just after the benediction, you will be placed into breakout rooms for a virtual coffee. And we invite everyone to join in, even if you are new among us and are wondering who these interesting people are. I invite everyone. You can join this group, of course, or you can opt out at that point. And then after, if your group is done speaking and you still want to share in fellowship, you can return to the main room and be placed into another breakout room. As we invoked the elements and the spirits of earth, air, fire, and water at the beginning of our service, now we release them with gratitude and love. And I leave you with these words from John Behrens and Rebecca Parker. Hope rises from the heart of life, beating with joy and sorrow. Hope longs for good to be affirmed, for justice and love to prevail, for suffering to be alleviated, and for life to flourish in peace. Hope remembers the dreams of those who have gone before and reaches for connection across the boundary of death. Hope acts to bless, to protest, and to repair. Let us begin the journey from the longest night of winter to the longest day of summer, continuing to seek wisdom, to find purpose, and to remain ever hopeful. Go forth in love. Go forth in good health. Go forth in peace. May it be so.